thank you, Oscar, for the introduction. Before I get started, I think we've had 7 tremendous, brilliant speakers speaking before me, so we should just take a moment, give them another round of applause. So my name is Mansoor Madhavji. I'm a partner on Blockchain Founders Fund. We invest and venture build for early stage companies. We also have a consulting arm where we work with governments and international organizations such as the United Nations. Currently, we're working on the United Nations flagship project for 2019 on emerging technologies. So that's very different than working with startups because very top-down approach. But, oops. Oh, wrong way. I think the presentation's backwards. Okay, well, the presentation topic is why relationships matter, with a focus specifically on 4 startups and external relationships. So the areas we're going to talk about are managing relationships with customers, partners, potential investors, and how to activate and engage investors and advisors once they're on the project. So some of the speakers before me, they covered a lot of things around nuances, the culture in Asia, things around product feedback. So I'm going to skip over some of those things. You'll see the key points, the guidances, the takeaways on the slides. I'm just going to fill it in with some experiences from being an entrepreneur and as an investor. So you'll see me with 2 hats. And then I know a lot of you guys are itching to grab a beer, so I'm going to try to keep it short. So obviously, we cover the nuances of China, North America. Where I wanted to skip to is knowing your product, know the value you provide, but even one step further, know the value that is to your end user. And so one of the things that I did in my previous startup is we had what we called a black book. And in that we had every potential customer type that we were targeting, along with detailed data around what customers that they needed to acquire and what value it brought to their business. So let me ask you a question. How does a doctor increase the value of his practice? Let me tell you, and this is based on, for North America, targeting females between the ages of 24 and 29. And why is that? Because females in that age group aren't yet married, but they are likely to be married soon. And data suggested that when women did get married, their husbands generally switched over and used the wife's doctor. And when they had kids, the kids also used the wife's doctor. So for a doctor, acquiring one female in that age group was like acquiring 4 clients, right? So without that insight, like we weren't able to present our service properly to a doctor. But once we had that, then we were able to demonstrate our value a lot more effectively. Let's skip this one. I know you guys want to hear about how to deal with investors, so let's go straight to that. So again, many nuances, relationships before pitches. Here, I'm going to tell you a fun story about expecting the unexpected. So we had an investment in a Silicon Valley company, founders completely brilliant, one of the top quantum physicists globally, and we had a couple funds out in Hangzhou that were interested in meeting him along with a couple other projects that we were invested in. And so we invited them out, and what we thought was going to be a dinner and a few pitches ended up turning into no food, 32 bottles of wine over the next 6 hours, and basically a lot of Chinese drinking games and a messy night. And I don't know how people brushed off that hangover because they closed up the night at around 4:30 in the morning. But at 8 o'clock in the morning, the guys from the fund called and they're like, hey, we're doing the deal. And what was interesting about that was they already saw the technology that they had. They already saw what they were building. They saw their documentations. The last thing left was not hearing the pitch. It was actually just seeing if they connected and if they actually felt like this person was someone worth investing in. And it's interesting to say, now it's been about a year since then, and the two people have greatly connected. Now, the investor, he was from a technology background. He worked in the early days with Bill Gates at Microsoft, was wildly successful. And so meeting this quantum physicist, it was like a meeting of the minds, and they've continued to have a good relationship. Now I believe they're also working on a book together. So that was quite interesting. Skipping over, how to activate and engage investors and advisors. So again, I'll skip through some of those. You can see the key points there. But in terms of the story, so one of the things I and a partner did in one of our previous businesses was when we sent out bi-weekly investor updates, what we did was we color-coded sections and put up an additional section at the bottom that just said, hey, advisor Mark, I need your help with, this item in tech. Investor John, I need your help with, another item. And what we found that to do was greatly increase the collaboration between the advisors and the investors with the team. And it allowed us to greatly leverage their network and use their insights. And in a lot of cases, they had larger networks, greater skill sets than we had on the team, and that proved to be very, very effective. So that's something that you guys should all attempt to do. Leverage the networks of your investors and your advisors and rely on their experiences. And another thing that they'll also be able to help you with is when you guys are looking to grow, they can help you with the longer sales cycle, especially when you're trying to move up market and close bigger deals. So in summary, I think I've kept it under 8 minutes. In summary, know the value you bring, find the win-win with partners, leverage the value of your investors and advisors, and communication. It will be required through all aspects of your business. So, thank you. I'll pass it off to Oscar to close everything. Oh, one last thing. If you want to connect with me, you can add my email or add my QR code here. And I'll pass it off to Oscar.